Hello, buddy. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Wednesday. Well, today's Hump Day. It's Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. So we're gonna, of course, gonna give people a chance to come in before we get started. Of course, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment. While I'm gone, I'll put the music on. All right. Anyways, it looks like we have three people here now, so I might as well just go into. So tonight we're actually going to go over four articles. Two from Bleeding Fool and two. Or hey, Rick, thanks for popping in. Two from Bounding in the Comments and two from Bleeding Cool. Um, of course, the first two from Bounding in the Comics. I'm going to talk about Marvel Comics introduces T'Challa's White Son Katema as future Black Panther. And then also, we're going to find out the 10 powerful X-Men characters that can defeat Doctor Doom. That's on Bounding into Comics. And then we're going to shift over to Bleeding Fool, I believe, where we will be looking at a couple of interesting situations. Let's see here. Remind myself of those. As we'll be looking at whether or not do we really need another climate crisis comic book? That's an Avi article. And Filbo Distribution steps in to support comic publishers and amid Diamond's abrupt exit. So we're going to be covering those four articles tonight. Of course, we'll also have the wrestling wrap up, which will look back to last night's NXT, as well as look ahead to tonight's Dynamite, AEW Dynamite, and also we'll be looking ahead to to this weekend's, of course. Go over again one more time the cards for Money in the Bank and When Worlds Collide. And of course, we'll wrap things up with This Day in Each History. So again, before I get into the articles here, we'll get started in just a moment. Again, a friendly reminder, if you guys can like and share the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that being said, let's get going here. Alrighty then. So here we go. Here's the first article, the first of four, of course. Alright, so let's get into this. Marvel Comics introduces T'Challa's white son, Katema, as future Black Panther and King of Wakanda. Article by Spencer McCooley, published today. So let's get into this. Alright. So, in a move that is sure to cause the exact explosion of discourse it was intended to, Marvel Comics has kicked off their latest visit to their Marvel Knights imprint with the revelation that at some point in the near future of Earth 616, T'Challa will find himself challenged for both Wakandan throne and the Black Panther by his heir apparent, his blonde-haired, white-skinned son, Katema. Unbelievable as it may seem, this twist to Wakanda's canon was confirmed in the debut issue of Christopher Priest and Joe Quesada's new Marvel Knights, The World to Come miniseries. The latest title in the Marvel Knights imprint, as originally created by Quesada to denote those books that were a bit too quote-unquote edgy for the publisher's general audience. The World to Come flings readers into the near future of the Marvel Universe to find a Wakanda embroiled in political unrest as a new resistance group known as the Aquamarines wages an ongoing coup attempt against the country's traditional ruling regime. All right. Okay. As to how the world's most advanced nation found itself in such a state of disarray, it is soon revealed that the heart-shaped dominoes began to fall when its current king T'Challa is met with a formal combat challenge for the throne by his son Katema, a formidable masked warrior who has found himself fed up with his father's indifference towards his people's autonomy. Though he easily proves himself the more competent warrior, T'Challa finds himself unable to bring the challenge to an end, as thanks to his son's adamant refusal to voluntarily surrender, the only way to do so would require him to outright kill Katema. Mistaking his father's mercy for patronization, Katema ultimately brings things to a close after he flies into a rage, in doing so taking his father by surprise and dropping him with a brutal three-hit combo. Kind of the risk you take when you when you show mercy. You let your guard down even for a moment. Sometimes, even somebody who's not as strong as you can catch you by surprise. Hmm. With T'Challa unable to stand, Katema turns to the elders of Wakanda and formally declares himself the country's new top cat, proclaiming, quote, I am king now. Wakanda is mine, unquote, the new Black Panther proceeds to remove his mask and reveal himself to his new subjects. And much to their surprise, rather than a black-skinned African, T'Challa's son sports far paler skin and blonder hair than his fellow countrymen. At current, outside of his existence, physical appearance, and hatred of his father, no further details have been presented regarding Katema's background. Notably, the issue reveals that at some point following his divorce from X-Men mainstay Storm, T'Challa reunited with his first fiancée, Monica Lynn, and the two eventually became pregnant. Given Katema's complexion, it seems unlikely that Monica, a black woman, is his actual mother. Thus, current speculation suggests that the new king of Wakanda may be T'Challa's son by another yet-to-be-introduced woman or an orphan he adopted and brought into his legacy, a la Batman and his various Robins. Hmm. Hmm. It should also be noted that in regards to canon status of Katema and his time ruling over Wakanda, the exact classification of Marvel Knights World to Come is a bit complicated. While every book that has thus far released under the Marvel Knights banner has been set firmly in Earth 616, the fact that a world to come takes place at a vague point in the future invites confusion around whether or not the book is considered full-on mainstream canon. To this end, as explained by Priest himself in an interview to AIPT Comics, quote, "Our Black Panther is a world to come. It's completely our own vision. Um, our world to come. It's completely our own vision of the near future. It is not tied into any other bit of Marvel continuity, which gives us enormous freedom to do things like have Lockjaw show up. So we're very happy about that." Unquote. Ultimately, more information regarding Katema's history, canon status, and tenure as Black Panther will come to light when Marvel Knights The World to Come, Volume 1, Issue Number 2, hit shelves on July 9th. All right. So there we go with that one. That one actually went a little bit quicker than I thought it would. Okay. A friendly reminder, of course, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, let me just try one more time here, see if there's anybody I can catch who I didn't catch earlier with a little invite to watch. Alrighty then, so with that, get ready to move on to the next article then. So here's a kind of an interesting little profile piece. 10 powerful X-Men characters that can defeat Doctor Doom in the MCU. Article by Billy Oduori. Published earlier today. So here we go. Let's see what he has to say here. Fox's X-Men are quickly getting integrated into the MCU, with more franchise characters now included in the cast list of the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, meaning that they will play a vital role in Victor Von Doom's defeat. Fox is. I wonder if that means he's talking about the X-Men series from the 90s or not, or something else. Naturally, though, whenever Doctor Doom is mentioned, Marvel fans think of the Fantastic Four because they are his true arch nemesis. However, as the new colossal big bad of the multiverse, Doom is everyone's enemy, and just like Thanos before him, it will require the strongest ever alliance of superheroes to defeat him. While Mr. Fantastic is still expected to deliver the deadliest blow against Doom in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, his ultimate defeat will likely come down to an unpredictable heroic act by a single daring superhero, as was the case with Thanos, and the X-Men are our biggest bet on this one. In the comics, X-Men have their fair share of wins against Doctor Doom, um, which makes them the perfect cheat code against him. While the complete list of X-Men that will face Doctor Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars hasn't been revealed yet, here is a look at the most powerful X-Men characters that can defeat Victor Von Doom on their best day. Storm Aurora Monroe. Aurora Monroe is one of the most underestimated X-Men, which always plays in her favor. She also matches most of Doctor Doom's powers. Um, she might not match Doom's tech acumen, but she can emit one of the most powerful EMPs in the multiverse to make all types of tech vulnerable wherever um, wherever she's around. Considering that as being the master of storms, as it were, she has power over lightning, which where the EMP comes into effect, comes into play. Storm is also able to control and manipulate weather systems, summoning lightning strikes and manufacturing storms out of thin air. The other advantage that Storm has yet to fully unleash on screen is her magical powers. Monroe has access to one of the strongest magical powers in the multiverse thanks to her maternal ancestors who connect to Aisha, Earth's second ever Sorceress Supreme, um, making her one of the best matched X-Men to face Doctor Doom. Namor. Namor Mackenzie, the Submariner here. In the Marvel's King of Atlantis, the King of Atlantis, Marvel's version, is another Omega level mutant. Despite being underrated, matches Doom in both willpower and ego. Yes, we've seen that in many of his incarnations, right? Namor is the first ever adversary to defeat Doctor Doom and take over Latveria in the comics, a feat that even Reed Richards hasn't pulled off. Namor is never scared of facing anyone, having single-handedly taken on powerful cosmic threats and defeated powerful characters, including The Thing, Silver Surfer, and She-Hulk. In water, Namor matches Doom both by sheer strength and telepathy. On land, Namor's store of powers is also extensive, including the ability to suffocate entire nations by turning air into water, from creating powerful force bolts that can trap Doom's army to toying with his ego. Namor is a powerful and relentless foe that Doc never enjoys facing. Yeah, I don't think anybody enjoys facing Namor. You know, the Atlantean also had years of experience fighting Doom, with Namor variants proving they have the willingness to go to extreme lengths to win. Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, the teleporter himself. Nightcrawler, the Kurt Wagner. Nightcrawler is one of the characters that will play a significant role in the battle against Doctor Doom in the MCU, with Alan Cumming having been listed in the cast list to reprise his X2 role in Avengers Doomsday. While Nightcrawler doesn't stand a chance against Doom in a melee, his ability to use stealth to deliver a deadly blow is unmatched in the multiverse. Yeah, and considering that all he really has to do, if he really wanted to hurt people or really get rid of them, all he'd have to do is teleport him and then just drop him in wherever that dimension, that that hellish dimension that he goes through. Drop whoever he's teleporting in there, and that should do it. Wagner can also teleport both himself and even significantly large objects, including a whole moon. Mm-hmm. Nightcrawler is also well versed in hand-to-hand combat, able to utilize most weapons that Doom could deploy if his tech-enhanced armor were disabled. However, he would need to advance his powers to be able to teleport at a molecular level to get past Doom's powerful electromagnetic field. Besides that, he is just as great a threat to Doom as any other powerful mutant. Professor X, Charles Xavier, probably one of the most powerful telepaths in the probably one of the most powerful telepaths in all the MCU, Marvel Comics universe. Charles Xavier doesn't give flashy displays of strength because he wins the majority of his battles through his unmatched psionic powers. Xavier's powers include telepathy, mind control, memory alteration, psychic projection, and astral combat, all of which he can combine to stun Doctor Doom. Now, let's take Doctor Doom's mind to the astral plane and battle him there, where Doctor Doom Victor would not have any chance of winning whatsoever. Professor X might not deliver the ultimate blow to kill Doom, but he sure is more than capable of incapacitating him. While Doctor Doom has resisted powerful psychics such as Selene in the past, he would still find it hard to resist Xavier at full strength. With a little boosting, Xavier can control the minds of everyone on the globe, including powerful psychics like Onslaught and Shadow King, with a single thought, which means he would only need one moment of weakness to take over Doom's mind without even moving his mouth. Iceman Bobby Drake. From freezing entire armies to engulfing a whole planet in a self-sustaining ice field, Iceman has evolved from being a mere comic relief, to one of the most threatening Omega level mutants. Now, Bobby Drake doesn't have much protection against Doom's psychic and magical powers, but that doesn't mean the Latvarian is immune to the threat of being trapped in a freezing dimension. If sustained for long enough, Dr. Doom's armies, and Doombots can easily be destroyed by Iceman. Iceman can also freeze molecules at subatomic levels, allowing him to bypass most of Doctor Doom's defenses. Most of which were primarily designed to stop Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four. Besides, Drake is also indestructible, as he has proved that he can reconstruct his body from water vapor, putting him beyond the reach of any kinetic blow that Doctor Doom may use. Kinetic blow basically meaning physical blow. In other words, if basically what they're saying here is if Doctor Doom was to try to actually punch Iceman, Iceman would just simply evaporate for the moment, and basically Doctor Doom's hand would go right through the air, basically like nothing was there. So anyways, moving on to the next powerful mutant that could take out Doctor Doom, Cyclops, Scott Summers. And there's his X-Men appearance from the 90s. Well, I guess it's actually from the more recent X-Men 97. This is another underrated X-Men because the full strength of his laser beams has never been fully exploited. A fault that James Marsden's listing to reprise the role in Avengers Doomsday can now correct. From cutting through concrete and even adamantium to melting cosmic beings, Cyclops could easily become X-Men's version of Homelander or Superman. Jeez. While Doctor Doom has a significant arsenal that could decimate Cyclops, the latter could easily come out victorious if he deploys the right strategy. Cyclops is a master tactician and an excellent leader, having led the original X-Men to significant victories against some of the most powerful foes in the multiverse. Scott Summers is one of the greatest threats Doom will face from X-Men in the MCU as far as strategy is concerned. While Doom has the upper hand in terms of raw strength, a Cyclops master stroke is not off the cards. Magneto, Eric Lenscher. All right, so Ian McKellen is one of the actors from Fox's X-Men, who is set. I guess Fox did the movie as well. Did the movie? Who is set to reprise their role in X-Men in Avengers: Doomsday. His portrayal of Magneto turned the character into one of the fan favorite X-Men characters to date. Although his advanced age means that his role in the MCU will likely be limited to existing X-Men footage, um, that doesn't diminish the fact that Magneto is still one of the most powerful mutants in the X-Men universe. From bending light to become invisible, um, to destroying his enemies by simply drawing all of the iron from their bloodstream. Um, Magneto is a mutant who can destroy virtually anything that has life. Doom's power armor, magical powers, and mind control might give him sufficient defense for some time, but Magneto is also a master tactician who can raise an army of mutants with little effort. Magneto's combination of scientific and mystic powers gives him a significant edge against cosmic foes, and as long as Doom's suit still uses metal and electricity, he is not invincible against Magneto, which would be true. Selene Galileo, the Black Queen. If the MCU's variant of Doctor Doom is as powerful as rumors suggest, then defeating him might come down to the X-Men's 17,000-year-old psychic vampire with an unimaginable grasp of magic. Selene is one of the most powerful and mystical characters from the X-Men universe with a formidable range of psionic, telekinetic, and magical abilities. She is also immortal with quick healing powers and the ability to self-construct even after molecular disintegration. While she doesn't have Doctor Doom's tech and armor, she operates in the same mystical space as Doom. Selene also thrives on death, using her psionic powers to suck the life force of other beings to sustain and increase her powers. And even Doom's soul is on the menu for her. Wow. Rogue Anne-Marie. Or Anna Marie. Rogue is one of those X-Men. Their enemies don't know which version of her they will be fighting, since she can absorb the powers of other mutants and project them. She has actually absorbed the powers of multiple mutants and used them at once in the past. from Thor and Captain Marvel to Mystique and Magneto. There doesn't seem to be anyone in the Marvel Universe that Rogue can't absorb. All she really has to do is get close enough to touch the enemy, making her the one opponent that Doctor Doom doesn't want to fight up close. Yeah, nobody wants that. Because she'll suck your life energy dry just like Selene. Her powers also allow her to get the memories of anyone she absorbs, making her knowledge almost limitless. Which is why a fight between the two would be so interesting. Of course, she still has to get past Doom's strong defenses. But if she manages to lay her hands on him, Doom stands very little chance. Jean Grey, the Phoenix Force variant. Again, another Omega level mutant, basically a near omnipotent power of its own with the Phoenix. The Phoenix Force is described as the spark that gave life to the universe and can just as easily take it away. Its power is tied to Jean Grey, elevating her to a Class 5 mutant, which means she has nearly unlimited telepathic and telekinetic powers. Her ability to manipulate matter at a molecular level means that she can easily shatter Doom's shield and armor, making her a way bigger threat than anything Doom has ever faced the Fantastic Four. Before being bonded to the Phoenix Force, Grey was already a powerful telepath who could dismantle Sentinels mid-flight. With her enhanced powers, she can now fry Dr. Doom's mind without even lifting a finger. Not to mention, she is virtually indestructible and can always resurrect herself if she dies. While the exact extent of her powers is still unknown, she has already resisted and defeated beings far older and more powerful than Doom. She can now outmatch him both mentally and physically, making her a credible Doomslayer. Ultimately, the character wasn't included in the Avengers Doomsday cast list, which is a huge miss for the good guys. Alright, so there we go with that one. So, anyways, we'll continue. So, after I switch over to the other site here. Before I do get into that, I am going to need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back. I'll put some music on. I'll do that. anyways, let's get back to the. Well, let me see if I can scrounge out some more people to come. Alrighty then. Let's get into the next article here. Third of four that we're doing tonight here. All right, so does all right, kind of does we really need another comic book about the quote unquote climate crisis? I believe he meant to say, do we really need, not does we really need, but article by Avi Green published today. All right, so Physics World talks about a French comic focused on the climate crisis. Comics are regarded as an art form in France, where they account for a quarter of all book sales. Nevertheless, the graphic novel World Without End, an illustrated guide to the climate crisis, uh, was a surprise French bestseller when it first came out in 2022. Taking the form of a Socratic dialogue um, between French climate expert Jean-Marc Jancovici and acclaimed comic artist Christopher Blaine. It's serious scientific stuff. Now translated into English by Edward Govan, the book follows the conventions of French language comic strips and bandes dessinées. Jancovici is drawn with a small nose, denoting seriousness, while Blaine's larger nose signals humor. The first half explores energy and consumption, with the rest addressing the climate crisis and possible solutions. Overall, this is a Trojan horse of a book. What appears to be a playful comic is packed with dense academic content. Though marketed as a graphic novel, it reads more like illustrated notes from a series of sharp, provocative university lectures. It presents a frightening vision of the future, and the humor doesn't always land. Now, this is, I guess, Avi's response to what we just read there. Well, maybe that's why this isn't such a great choice for reading material, because it could lecture the audience in a bad sense. All right. Again, one of the editors fell asleep over there or something like that. Climate conditions are a petty issue compared to subjects like the rise of Islamic terrorism, Marxism, communism, and forced LGBT ideology. Yet, what we have to read about is, say, the ozone layer on the globe. Sorry, but climate crisis and climate change is much too lazy of a subject. I suppose I'll have to give the artist some points for at least trying to convey it humorously, but if it's more a political lecture and a genuine focus on a scientific topic, that's why it won't work well. When we're done with that article, that article went pretty quick. I knew these last two were going to go pretty quickly. That's why I had them in there tonight. Anyways, now getting on to the final article we're going to do tonight here. Filbo Distribution steps in to support comic publishers amid Diamond's abrupt exit. Article by Chris Braley, published earlier today. So this is one of Chris's articles. Filbo Entertainment Promotions Incorporated, known for the indie superhero comic Tragedy, is growing its business to better support independent comic creators. The company, based in Bayport, New York, has launched two new branches, Filbo Publishing and Filbo Distribution. These new divisions will help bring comics from smaller publishers to more readers across the United States and Canada. Filbo's new expansion means they will distribute not only their own comics, but also books from other independent publishers. This move is designed to give indie comic writers and artists a better chance to succeed in a crowded market. Filbo has already formed partnerships with Zenscope, Anarctic Press, Crusade, Fine Arts, and other distributing titles, like She by Billy Tucci, Pray for the Sinner by Merritt Michaels, Wonder Duck, Bigfoot Knows, or Bigfoot Knows Karate, CRIT, and Eye for an Eye, among others. These comics have found fans from many different backgrounds and ages. They will also handle action figures, including the Animal, Warriors of the Kingdom line from Sparrow Toy Enterprises, which comes with its own tie-in comic. This growth comes at a time when the comic book industry is facing uncertainty. Diamond Comic Distributors, once the largest distributor in the business, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy earlier this year. And of course, we've been following that story throughout the year here, throughout the first 6 months of the year here. Once a large, we read that part. And has been going through a complicated sale and restructuring process. As Diamond's future remains unclear, some smaller publishers have been struggling to figure out how to get their comics into stores and in front of readers. Filbo's expansion wants to offer a new reliable option for indie publishers who might otherwise be left out. And again, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Also, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated as well. So, Filbo CEO Philip Russert says the goal is to make it easier for independent creators to get their work out there without facing big financial challenges. Quote, our mission is to create an economically viable option for creators, ensuring they retain the bulk of the financial rewards for their hard work, unquote, Russert said. As a creator himself, he wants to see indie comic authors reach their full potential. Russert has already worked with well-known cover artists from Marvel and DC Comics. With this experience, he hopes to give indie creators the exposure and sales opportunities they need to succeed. By offering both distribution and publishing services, Bilbo is helping indie comics reach more stores and readers, making the industry more accessible for new voices. Retailers, publishers, and creators interested in working with Bilbo can find more information on their website at bilboentertainment.com. So, and maybe I'll go ahead and go, I'll copy the link and then share it in my chat for those who may want to endeavor doing so. All right, so there it is. If you guys want to check that out, I don't know, check out Bilbo Entertainment, see what they have to offer and all these services and all that. So I believe that is the end of that article, and if that's the case, and that's the end of the articles for tonight, get ready to move on. Yep, and that's what it is. So get ready to move on to the next. Get ready to move on to the next. Portion of the show, which is the resident wrap up. Of course, before I do that, I'm going to need to go away from the. I need to go away from the camera for a moment again. I'll be right back, but I'll put some music on while I'm gone. In this case, I shouldn't be gone too long this time. Like that. All right, I'm back. So now let's get ready to. So now we're going to do the rest and wrap up. We're going to look back to last night's NXT. Maybe look ahead to this weekend's AAA Worlds Collide event. And then also look ahead to tonight, look ahead to tonight's Dynamite as well. So on last night's NXT, the opening match saw let's see, Osiris Griffin, Cutler James, and Dion Lennox from Dark State defeat Chase Hughes, Andre Chase, Uriah Collins, and Cale Dixon in a 6-man tag match to open up the show. Just under 3.5 minutes. In a rounds match, Miles Bourne defeated Charlie Dempsey as this looks like it might mark the end of, might be marking the end or a changing of things in terms of the no quarter catch crew. I don't know if this is a case of Miles and Tavon, who was in his corner, leading the no quarter catch crew or not. In her NXT wrestling debut, LFG Women's Champion Tyra May Steele defeated Ariana Grace in just under 2.5 minutes. An 8-man tag match that was set up earlier in the night as kind of a precursor to the 4-way coming up at kind of set up as a precursor to the 4-way coming up this weekend's When Worlds Collide event in Inglewood, California. Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, Laredo Kid, and Sean Legacy defeated Ethan Page and the Vanity Project of Brad Baylor, Jackson Drake, and Ricky Smokes. Of course, Javon Evans, Laredo Kid are both involved in the 4-way match this weekend. And Trick Williams was able to successfully retain the TNA World Title over Mike Santana, with help, of course, from First Class, AJ Francis, and Casey Navarro. Now, also some other things we saw on the show last night as well. We saw during JC Jane's promo coming off of her big win over Stephanie Vacure. We saw the debut, albeit they haven't told us what name she'll be using yet. Former AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May, the Glamour, made her NXT debut, basically calling out JC Jane, claiming that she's going to be coming for the NXT title. So that story we'll be waiting to see how that story goes. And some other WWE news, of course. There are some rumors going around that it's possible that The Miz may be getting released soon. Now, according to most sources, they're saying that no, it's not happening, but yet he's basically taken down any reference to WWE on a lot of his social media. So I guess we'll just wait and see what happens. Anyways, before we do go to the AEW stuff, let's take a look at what's going to be going down this Saturday, the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California. As this Saturday, WWE along with AAA will be promoting World Collide. The opening match will be a 6-man tag in which the LWO members of Cruz del Toro and Dragon Lee will be joined by Lindsay Dorado. Because Lindsay Dorado will be filling in for, originally Joaquin Wilde was supposed to, I believe, be involved in the match, but he got injured during the speed taping on Monday night, so he, I guess, was taken out of the match. And they'll be facing AAA stars Aerostar, Mr. Iguana, and Octagon Jr. Of course, Octagon Jr., tag partner of Laredo as the Aztec Warriors in TNA. In a tag team match, in a women's tag team match, Chick Tormenta and Dalise will be taking on NXT's Lola Vice and recent main roster call-up Stephanie Vacure. The aforementioned Fatal 4-Way that we talked about for the NXT North American title will also be taking place. Ethan Page will be defending against AAA World Cruiserweight Champion Laredo Kid, SmackDown's Rey Fenix, and NXT's Javon Evans on the show. In another 6-man or trios match, Legado del Fantasma of Angel Berto and Santos Escobar will be taking on the AAA trio of El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. In the main event, for the AAA Mega title. We'll see El Hijo del Vikingo defending the title against WWE's Chad Gable. So that's all that's going down this weekend on. And now to look ahead to tonight's Dynamite, which will be airing, I believe, on TNT. On tonight's episode of Dynamite from the Mission Ballroom in Denver, Colorado, with, of course, Excalibur, Ian Riccaboni, and Taz on commentary. In a non-title match, Jon Moxley of the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley of the Death Riders, with, of course, Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta in his corner, will be taking on former Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe. Current AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm will be teaming up with Mina Shirakawa to take on former TBS champion Julia Hart and Sky Blue. FTR, and this is, of course, Fyter Fest tonight, I believe, right? Yeah, Fyter Fest 2025, Dynamite's version of it. FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Stokely in their corner will be taking on CMLL's Atlantis Jr., who's the former Ring of Honor World Television Champion, and Templario, who is currently one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions. In a trios match, Los Facción Ingobernables of Beast Mortos, Delistico, and Rush will be taking on Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Commander. And the main event will be the AEW International title four-way match in which Kenny Omega will be defending the international title against Claudio Castagnoli of the Death Riders, Brody King of the Hounds of Hell, and CMLL's Máscara Dorada. So that's all we got for the wrestling wrap-up for you guys. So now, with today being, of course, Wednesday, June 4th, I did forget to make a big deal about that. It's Hump Day, so hopefully everybody's getting over the hump this week. Will be 85, 75, and 2020. All right, so with that, now it's time to take a look back at this day in each history. So first off, we're going to head back 50 years ago today. And on this date, 50 years ago today, during a WWF, a Worldwide Wrestling Federation All-Star Wrestling television taping in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, several out-of-control fans began behaving violently in the arena at the end of a match between WWF Tag Team Champions Dominic DeNucci and Victor Rivera and challengers the Blackjacks of Blackjack Mulligan and Blackjack Lanza. When Captain Lou Albano appears at ringside, becomes involved on the Blackjack's behalf, the show abruptly ends shortly before things escalated to a near riot, and police are forced to use tear gas to get the crowd under control. Although footage is said to exist, it has never been aired, although the episode itself has been uploaded to various video sharing sites. Now, mind you, this is the second time in like 4 years, in a 4-year period, in which Captain Lou Albano was involved in a riot or near riot situation, as just 4 years prior to this, when he was managing Ivan Koloff at the time, when Ivan Koloff took the WWF title off of Bruno Sammartino back in 1971 there. So second time in 4 years he's involved in a near riot. So there we go with that one. Now moving on to the next piece of niche history as we move ahead to 1985, 40 years ago today. On this date, 40 years ago today, as soon as I grabbed the right thing there. On this date, 40 years ago today, the first issue of Alien Encounters from Eclipse Comics went on sale on this date back in 1985. Sold for $1.75 with 32 pages. I guess it was kind of an anthology title that just had, stories of alien encounters in it. It was edited by Catherine Younwode. I guess that's how you might pronounce her. Euron Wode. But on this date, 40 years ago today, the first issue of Alien Encounters from Eclipse Comics went on sale on this date back in 1985. Now, finally, moving ahead to the year 2020, which was just 5 years ago today. On this date, 5 years ago today, TMS Entertainment's second season of Baki, the newer ONA, or original net animation, the TMS Entertainment's ONA, second season of TMS's ONA Baki, based on the Baki the Grappler series, premiered on this date back in 2020. So 5 years ago today, the second season of TMS Entertainment's ONA Baki, based on the Baki the Grappler series, premiered on this date back in 2020, 5 years ago. So, with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I hope you found it informative. Of course, we'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at the Indie Comic Showcase, as the latest article will be put up today by Chris Braley. We'll be looking at that tomorrow, getting you all caught up on what happened on tonight's Dynamite. Looking ahead to tomorrow night's Impact and Ring of Honor Club. And of course, don't forget this Sunday, I'll be joined by the Metal from the Vomitorium. We'll be looking back at comics that went on sale in May of 1940. This week we'll be focusing in on quality comics, featuring such features as Dollman, Uncle Sam, The Clock, Black Condor, Red Bee, Neon the Unknown, and Invisible Hood. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.